Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing you some alternate transformations on the Transformers Studio Series Devastator. This video will act as almost an update video to my initial review of the Studio Series Devastator, as anticipated by me, just as of course with a figure of this magnitude, there is some things that perhaps I may have missed out on first time round, and mistransformation of this figure in order to get him on all fours was always going to be something that was a topic of discussion. So before I very quickly get into this video, I first of all want to shout out to some of the TFW 2005 board members for giving me some tips and tricks on how to actually achieve this figure in getting into a somewhat on all four crawling position. Before I get into the modification of the transformation, I very quickly want to give you a size comparison between a figure that I believe a lot of you did ask for in the initial comment section, and that is of course the Transformers Studio Series Leader Class Grimlock. So we can see here that Grimlock was one of the biggest Studio Series figures for a very long time. However, he has now been replaced by Studio Series Devastator. Personally, the scale here, could it work? It actually could work. You know, Grimlock was a very big character, but so was Devastator. And considering we never actually see these two in a film together, personally for me, I'm quite happy with the scaling between these two figures. Without further ado though, let's get straight into the mistransformation for Devastator. So the first thing we're going to want to do is come here to the head. Now the head was something that in my review I mentioned was lacking in terms of articulation, and whilst this official configuration still is lacking, you can adjust and detach some of the tabs that the instructions actually tell you to plug in order to lift the head into a more upright position for when you have this figure crouched. So to begin with, what you're going to want to do is come to this top section and just simply detach it. Once that is done, I would recommend taking off this top cylindrical grinder section as well, just as it's more than likely going to rattle around whilst we are messing with the figure. You can more or less do this particular step here. So you're going to want to pull overload away from the body just to allow for some clearance, and basically you're just going to want to detach Mixmaster's legs from where they tab in. So just turn this one around and detach this one, and then come to this piece here and actually detach this whole section as well. So pull all of this out and then just detach all of this, and then rotate around to this side and repeat the same process. Just detach this and then move these pieces out to the side and take this and just lift this all the way up. With that now done, we can begin to neaten this up as best as we can. So I tend to just tuck the legs in and then bring these sections out to the sides and then just fold those up. Turn to this side now and repeat the same process. Just realign all this up and clip this in. So here we have Devastator's head in a more upright position. Now we can turn our attention to the knee joints, and if you want him in a more hunched position, a gorilla-like stance, you'll want to ratchet these forwards just like so, and then placing him back down, bringing all of this down now and just positioning the arms. This here is the best you're probably going to get for him in an almost gorilla-like stance, with the hands on the ground as well as the feet with the head risen up. This is something that I believe we saw in some of the concept art images, and you can see that we can take the grinder section and peg this back over the top as well. So definitely, personally for me, I don't actually quite like this display. I think the head does jut out slightly more than it ought to. However, once again, this is an unofficial configuration, and this is probably the best you're going to get in terms of him in a more neutral stance with all four on the ground. So just giving you how that looks from a side perspective here. Personally, I really don't like doing this, as there is a considerable amount of weight in the top region of the figure. You have got to consider that this figure is made up of two leaders at the end of the day, that is in the torso as well as a Voyager for the head. So there is a lot of pressure put on these hands, and the fingers, whilst they are sturdy plastic, they are made out of ball joints and pin joints, and over time I can really see the plastic beginning to warp and stress. So personally for me, I am only going to be sticking with the official configuration. Now turning to the crawling like pose, what you're going to do is come to these ratchet joints and ratchet these all the way back. Now we're going to do the same for this side, and spinning around to this side here, we're going to take Rampage's leg and ratchet it all the way down and out to the side. We can do the same for Long Haul, although I have got to admit that it is slightly more difficult with Long Haul, as he just doesn't have that much articulation when compared to Rampage. So you're going to want to hinge and rotate these pieces out to the sides, and then that should allow you to get a decent ratchet joint forward. Hopefully I can get a second click. If not, that's probably the best we're going to be able to get. And ratchet that like so. The only critique I have with this is that this claw here that is from Overload does have all the weight left on it, and I cannot mistransform this as it will jeopardize the stability of this whole assembly. So once again, this is something that I'm probably never going to do. But here we have Devastator crawling on all fours like we saw within the Revenge of the Fallen movie. And if I just turn around to Rampage and straighten that ratchet joint out and hinge that down, here we've got his feet flat on the ground and all of the limbs on the floor as well, with the head risen up. So just a very quick update video. Once again, personally, this is up to your own imagination. You can mistransform this figure in basically whatever way you so choose. This video was merely here to show you that whilst you can achieve an all-four pose by mistransforming mainly the head section, as stated in the video, my main problem with this figure was the lack of articulation for the head. So if you do mistransform the head and you do angle some of the joints in a different way, you are in fact able to recreate this in some form of fashion, and here is the best that I can do as of now. As stated, I do thank the TFW 2005 board members for helping me out and giving me some inspiration for how this could perhaps be achieved. And I've got to say that having it in hand and on all fours, it definitely does look a lot better than the official configuration of him standing upright. If I had any concerns, as stated, it's mainly due to how much weight there is on the fingers and this poor claw section here, which is bearing the whole weight of this assembly, and you just cannot dislodge this at all. And there is quite a lot of weight on that. So personally, I would only leave it in this pose if you're willing to risk damaging the figure, as personally I just do not think Hasbro designed this with the intention of being posed in an all fours crawling position. So I hope you enjoyed this rather quick update video, and I hope that it was informative to you. If it was, please let me know down in the comment section below, and be sure to let me know whether or not there's anything else you'd like me to go over regarding this figure. Thanks for watching.